Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of IoT Nuggets with IoT Group. And I'm Doug Cohen from M10 Social, joined today, of course, all the way across the screen by my illustrious co-host, Mr. Steve Brummer from IoT Group.
Yay. That's the only applause I ever get.
I'm happy to provide it. And also joining us today is Mr. Lawrence Latham from Everynet. And very excited to have you here, Lawrence. Lawrence joins us all the way from Holland today. The wonder of virtual technology over the internets. So a little housekeeping once again, bhiotgroup.com is the website for IoT Group. And everynet.com is the website for Everynet. And if you are a subject matter in the IoT Internet of Things space, or you have a business that plays in that space and you want to join us on this show, let us know. We'd love to have you. And with that said, as we have Lawrence joining us today, we're going to talk a little bit about Everynet and Everynet's making moves because they're now up and running in 3 markets in the States with more to come. It's very exciting what's going on with Everynet, and I'm going to pass it on to Steve and Lawrence to discuss it a little bit. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug. Lawrence, what a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been a while, and I'm glad you're here. So the audience really is wanting to be educated on where Everynet is today. So if you can take a quick second to introduce Everynet, tell us a little bit about your business model and where you're headed over the next 6 months to a year.
Sure. Thanks, Steve, and thanks for having me on the show. I'm very excited. It took you a while to get to me. Somebody must have canceled this week.
That's right. Oh,
I'm teasing. So at Everynet, we build national LoRaWAN networks. And we do that in a neutral host model. We provide that on a wholesale basis. So we build out the coverage, macro coverage across a whole country. And that coverage is not minimally viable coverage. It is carrier grade, utility grade coverage. We are in markets. We've been up and live in Brazil since 2019. We went live last year in Indonesia. We also have Spain, Italy, Ireland, the UK, and Puerto Rico, and now the US. So we're quite excited about that.
Can you give the announcement for the U.S., which it was a pleasure to be on the stage with you down in Miami, and when you made that announcement, can you give us a little feel for what that means to us here in the U.S.? What do you plan? What are your plans? What's the timing?
Yes. So we typically build out countries in several phases, and the first phase is to go and attack and place networks in the largest markets and the logistics corridors, ports and airports and things like that. So the first phase for the US has us covering 36 of the major metropolitan markets. We got started, we made the announcement in June, and we're deploying by August. We've already finished Charlotte, Austin, and Phoenix. Those are the first 3 of the 36 markets, and we anticipate being done with the first 36 markets plus logistic corridors, etc., by November 15th of this year.
That is awesome. And so, what are the biggest use cases for opportunities here in US?
So typically they're the same all over the world. So utilities, logistics, and then smart building, smart cities type applications. So utilities, everybody thinks about residential meters, and we do that, especially gas and water. We provide the connectivity for those along with electric. But there's also commercial meters, you're talking about smart grids, so transformer switches, things that aren't remotely monitored. This technology is cost effective and performance great for doing that type of stuff. And then you also, in water systems, you have substations in places there's no electricity. This technology is ideal for that. When it comes to logistics, that can be asset tracking pallets, tracking containers, things like that. So about 5% of the supply chain is digitized, and usually that's the high value assets. What LoRa is able to do at an ultra low cost is that you can now track a pallet. It's a matter of cost. Also, you can't plug in a pallet while it's out there, so it has to have a battery that lasts a long, long time. And then you have to have very good signal propagation, right? For whether it's utilities, cellular even struggles a lot of times in water metering where you have subterranean use cases and things like that. Sometimes there's a Faraday cage effect in trucks and things like that. And LoRa has a very good ability to escape that and not be impacted by it. And then lastly, especially as a result of the pandemic and people going back to work or being in an airport, an office building or some space, people need to know that manage the facilities, what's the occupancy, what's the CO2 levels, and a variety of things like that, buttons for to be able to monitor soap dispensers and hand towels. Before it was just a nuisance and we'd use our pants. Now we've got to be more careful.
So two final questions. What is the biggest challenge you have right now facing yourselves here in the U.S. in this deployment and this rollout?
Can I give two answers?
Sure.
A compound answer?
Only if it's short in quick time, which I know is for you and I.
So one of the challenges is one that's facing any growing business is getting good talent. It's an interesting environment. People see house prices going up, car prices, things like that. The talent is scarce, and we want quality over quantity. So that's a challenge for us. Then if you look at the product itself, our coverage is getting the message out to the broader market and cutting through the and by the way, I want to make sure I say this, IoT is not a one size fits all solution for connectivity. We don't think LoRa is the be all end all. Really good for certain use cases, and those happen to be very deep, right? And we do see it as a compatible environment and something that's complementary.
Awesome. Excellent. That's awesome. Well, Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. And yes, we succeeded in getting it out in a short period of time. So you hit the marks. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, Doug, Steve, thank you so much for having me on the show.
All right, Doug, it's back to you.
Well, thanks for joining us, Lawrence. And it sounds like your company is really on the forefront of what's going on in IoT and making some big moves across the globe. So kudos to you folks, and thanks for filling us in on what's going on with Everynet. Very informative stuff. And for those of you who tuned in, we appreciate you watching. Share it out and make sure you connect with us on LinkedIn as well as the YouTube channel where you can view all of the nuggets and past, present, and future. And you can reach out to Steve and John Hubler and the rest of the team at BHIoT Group. .com to talk with them about your deployment, your strategy, how to bring it to market. And don't forget, you can also visit Everynet at everynet.com. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we will see you on the next episode of IoT Nuggets.
They haven't fired us yet.
That's right.
Yet.
Thanks, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks.